Welcome to the Soul Craft Your Life podcast. My name is Carmen Marshall, and I'm a life design and manifestation expert, a seven-figure entrepreneur, wellness educator, and a dance teacher. And I'm passionate about helping you create a magical and fulfilling life. Whether you want to discover your purpose, learn how to attract financial abundance, or create more health, balance, joy, and connection in your life, the Soul Craft Your Life podcast has got you covered. One part strategy and one part soul. Each week we explore both the practical and the spiritual with intriguing experts and fascinating human beings, all sharing their wisdom to help expand what we think is possible for our own lives. The goal? To help you create a life you love on your own terms that stems from your soul. Let's dive in and discover what this life has to offer each of us. Hello, gorgeous souls. Welcome to episode 28, part 2 of What Beliefs Support a Soulful and Successful Life. So, as you know, I did part 1 for episode 27, and there's so many core beliefs that I wanted to talk about that there just wasn't time. So this is part 2. I'm going to try to go through them a little bit quicker. But as I mentioned, if there's anything that you would like to dive into even deeper, that you'd like more clarity on, or just a full 20-minute podcast on any of these, please let me know. All right. So we had gotten to number 6. So this is again in episode 27. So let's continue with number 7. So number 7, core belief for me. Dance is one of the best ways to move stuck energy, change vibration, heal, and connect with your essence and your life force. So this is one of the reasons why dance is so powerful for me, because it does all of those things. And it's also why it's my it's actually my number 1, but it's of the 2 things that I love teaching the most. Dance is like probably the number 1. And then secondly, helping people step into their Dharma business, launching and growing it. So those are the 2 things that I love most doing. But dance, if there was like one thing where the universe was like, you can only do one thing in this lifetime, it would be teaching dance. And the reason being is that we know everything is energy. And when you dance, you can so quickly change your energy. And not only just because of our mood, but we're literally changing the vibration in our body. So our cells are vibrating differently. So you can walk into a class and be feeling irritable, and in 5 minutes, you can completely change. Or you can put a song on just in your house, dance madly around your house, and change your vibration and your energy and your mood just like that as well. The other thing though is we store emotions, we store trauma, we store disappointments in our tissues. So when you dance, you're actually moving out that stuck energy. It can literally be healing as a physical practice, not just as an energetic practice, but as a physical practice. And as we're learning more about the body, the more that we shake, the more that we vibrate, especially like our heart, our hips, and our hara, well, actually all of our chakras, shaking like our throat, making sound. So all of the chakras through our system, but so much in our heart, in our hara, and then our sacral center, our hips. When you shake and move those, you literally free up stuck energy, and your creative force, your life force, your essence is so much more powerful. So this is why I use dance to help women specifically, and I do have some men in my classes as well, but women predominantly, to really connect with your essence and your life force, and to feel your feelings, because we want to feel all these feelings and move them through the body. We don't want to get stuck in this world where we think, it's not good to feel my anger or my irritability or my grumpiness. We don't want to project that on somebody, but we want to feel it to move it out of the body. And that's how we can feel alive. And when you see people walking around where they're just, they're so alive, that's because they've learned how to feel all of their emotions and move it through the body and let life move through you. That's the other thing as well. When you dance, you're actually allowing life to flow through you in the moment, in the present moment. All right. So dance, again, is probably one of my core beliefs. And again, why it's through all of my business. Number 8, everyone can be my teacher, and nature is my best teacher. So why I say everyone can be my teacher is even when I come across someone who's frustrating, or like last year, I had purchased a course where I really did not like the teacher of the course, but it was quite an expensive course. And I was like, you know what? I know because I was drawn to do this course, there has to be something that I'm meant to learn. So I got through the entire course. I think it was like 18 weeks or so. It's a pretty long course, 16 weeks. I think I missed the last week because I was because I was at Path of Love in Bali. So except for that last week, I did all 17, and I'm so glad I did because it actually taught me how I don't want to be as a teacher. It taught me so much, and actually it taught me a lot of really good things too. So this is why I do believe everyone can be our teacher. A bad relationship, like for example, I had my one toxic relationship for 4 years, way back in the day. It taught me so much about speaking my truth, like hugely. Like that is one of the biggest things that I so believe in, is speaking our truth. And that relationship taught me to speak it. So even a toxic relationship, not that we want to stay in a toxic relationship, you need to move out of that as quickly as possible, but everyone can be our teacher. Even the people that we don't like, even someone that's toxic, even that bank teller that's really rude to you, everyone can be our teacher. And nature is our best teacher. And so this is why I love to live in indoor, outdoor places around the world. So it's why I love Bali, because that's the place the most where the nature, literally, like you feel like you're living in nature. I also love Australia, the same thing, like where I live here in Noosa. There's, so much foliage and plants, and, Maui was the same way too. But even when I've lived in cities, because like Miami, I love, and there's, that's a city, but there's always ways to get out to nature. You can go to the park. Miami, of course, is on the water, so you could go to the beach, or you have plants in your house, or you always go outside and look at the moon. Or like something I do here is I always try to get outside at least once a day, and also grounding our feet like on sand or earth or grass is one of the most healing things as well that we can do. Like actually physically connect. They call it grounding, with your feet on the earth, just walking around barefoot. Huge, huge thing. So for healing, but also just for connecting to our inner guidance as well. So number 8, everyone can be my teacher, and nature is always my best teacher. You may say, okay, well, why is that? The reason being, when we go out into nature, and let's say we have a challenge or a problem that we're trying to sort through, we often can find the answers in nature. Like we'll look at a tree and there's something like you see like its roots have grown over all these other roots, and it's like 200 years old, and you see like how it's actually found water. And that may give you the message like, you know what? I need to really stick with my vision. Even though there's these ups and downs, just like this tree, I can find a way to make it work. So that's where like you literally will get messages from nature. The other thing is when we're outside, we're more connected to source because we have our head connected to the heavens, and then also our feet are connected to the earth. And so it's more a way where we can get more direct messages and really hear our inner guidance as well. So this is why getting out in nature is, and there's been a real resurgence since COVID as well, where people are like, yes, we've got to get out in nature. Again, even if you live in a city, which I've done for many years of my life, there's ways to connect, even just that one plant in your house, and maybe get a few more plants. Could be a way. All right. So this leads me to number 9. My intuition and my inner guidance always knows. It's only been when I've stepped over my intuition and I've stepped over my inner guidance where I have regrets. And so when I take the time to actually tune in, like, what is my gut telling me? What is my heart telling me? It's totally fine, of course, to get advice from other people, but I always go back to, what do I feel? Because again, the only times I've had regrets is when I haven't listened to my intuition and I haven't listened to my inner guidance. And sometimes we can be like, I don't know. It's okay to take some time to figure things out, but just keep asking yourself, what is for my highest good? What does my heart want to do? What are my gut feelings around this? And a really, really powerful way to do this is I teach something called authentic code, which is really your values, but it goes a lot deeper to figure out, really what is your authentic code? Like, what are the most important things that is linked to your purpose, to your authenticity, everything. From there, it's also really easy to make decisions, because if it doesn't align with your authentic code, it's not right for you. And this is where your intuition and your inner guidance will also give you signs as well. But I think rather than go deeply into this, because that could be a whole other podcast, is just to, if you like this, if this resonates with you, I just trust my inner guidance and my intuition like nothing else. Nobody else can tell me what's right for me. Only I know. And I have to march to the beat of my own drum, always. Did that take me a few years to come to? Absolutely. Absolutely. But the older I've got, the more and more I'm purely led by my intuition and my inner guidance. Number 10, this too shall pass. So this is actually from my dad. So I don't know if any or all, or maybe some people don't know, but my dad was a minister. He just retired a year and a half ago. So he's 75. So he just retired. And he used to always tell me this, when I would be upset or about something, he would always be like, this too shall pass. And, that always just made me feel so much more relaxed to realize like, yes, this is going to pass in time. Everything passes in time. Like I can think about every challenge I've had or every frustration, it eventually passes. There's a really funny meme that I actually want to post on Instagram where it's this guy talking to the universe and he's like, excuse me, is there an ETA on when this too shall pass? Because it's been 3 years. So sometimes it can feel like it takes a long time, but I think we can all look at our life and like, eventually it does pass. So that's, for me, has been a really comforting belief. I'm not religious, but there are some things from my growing up that's one thing that has really stuck with me. This too shall pass. Number 11, gratitude is the best thing to interrupt anxiety. So when we're anxious about something, if we can think of what we're grateful for, it's the best way to interrupt anxiety because we can't think about two things at the same time. So you can't be despondent and happy at the same time. Like if you're and you can't be frustrated and grateful at the same time. When you're frustrated, you can think about, okay, well, what am I grateful for in this moment? I'm grateful for my cats. I can feel the breeze that feels so good on my skin. I really love this table that my podcast microphone is on. It's like this solid wood. And all of a sudden, we can step out of our frustration because we can't hold two thoughts at the same time in our mind. Hi, gorgeous soul. Carmen here, and I'm interrupting this episode to let you know I created a PDF to help you design your own core beliefs. So after I released episode 27, part 1, I had message after message asking me for my 21 core beliefs, but summarized all in one place. So I created a PDF for you, but with lots of room for you to add your own core beliefs, to tweak, to customize it completely for you. I wanted to share what's working for me in my life thus far, but also to open up new ideas and new ways of looking at the world. And most importantly, to invite you to develop your own core beliefs so that you can consciously choose beliefs that work for you and the life that you want to lead. So to go download the free, gorgeous PDF, go to carmenmarshall.com/21 core beliefs, and I'll put it in the show notes as well, and you'll get access to it immediately. Have fun reviewing the all-in-one place core beliefs PDF and designing your own. Okay, let's get back to the podcast. So gratitude is the best thing to interrupt anxiety, and it's a natural sleeping pill. So this is really beautiful. I literally, every night, I count on my fingers from 1 to 10 what I'm grateful for. And I normally fall asleep by number 3. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but it's the best natural sleeping pill. And the reason being is when you are grateful, you start to relax and then your body falls asleep. Because it's when we're tense that it's harder for our body to fall asleep. So it performs a 2-prong effect, or like I like to say, it catches 2 kittens in one basket. Number 12, addiction. Now, we can all have different addictions. It could be food, could be sex, could be Instagram scrolling, it could be the news, it could be drugs, it could be love. There's a million different addictions that we can have. So an addiction is something that you know that you consistently are compelled to do, but it isn't for your highest good. So my addiction back in the day was food. So I used food to self-soothe. I used it when I couldn't see end in sight. Like if I was super, super busy and there's just no end in sight, I would use it for pleasure. I would use it for sweetness, many, many different things. My Sexy Fit Nutrition Challenge is really what healed me, and everything that I did to heal me in that process from physical to emotional to spiritual is all in the Sexy Fit Nutrition Challenge. But one thing that I want to leave with you that is probably the heart of everything, once you get the physical managed in your body, because eating is also a physical thing. When our blood sugar is too low or if we diet a lot, that also can cause you to overeat as well. So there is a physical component. But the spiritual component is this one. And it's so important. What are you really hungry for? And again, we can use this in so much like, okay, I feel like scrolling on Instagram. I feel like having that third glass of wine. I feel like binging on these cookies. What am I actually really hungry for? And so usually it could be connection, adventure, variety, self-care, like a million different things. But the addiction is just feeding something that we're actually soulfully hungry for. So that's a really good question. And I have a belief that what I need to always look at is what am I actually hungry for? And then that is actually what my soul wants. Whatever it is, like for me back in the day, it was food. That's such a poor substitute for actually what my soul wants. And when we put it in that light, of course, addiction is I don't want to demean or diminish addiction. It's a huge issue for many people, but this is just one thing that can help you. And for me, it really helped with my binge eating back in the day. Number 13, focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. Energy goes where attention flows. Whatever you focus on expands. Now, I think that we know this, and sometimes it can feel a little bit trite, but I just want to ask you, how much do you actually do this in your life? Because it is so powerful. And you want to think of if you're riding a bike and you see a hole in the ground. If you look at that hole in the ground, you are going to fall in that hole. So what you want to do is you want to look where you want to go, not in that hole. So yes, how much do we give energy to what we don't want versus what we do want? And even in our languaging, like I don't want this versus I want this. And this is going to lead me to number 14, being pro something rather than being against something. The energy is completely different. And I want to talk about these two things back to back because they really matter with how we live our life. If we say, for example, I'm an anti-war person versus I'm pro-peace, it changes the energy completely. So if you're like, I'm pro this rather than I'm anti that, changes everything. And the same thing in our life, if we focus on what we want rather than what we don't want, it completely changes the energy in our life as well. Our attitude, our vibration, everything. And then that leads me to number 15, which I always think about. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. It's why we're attracted to some people. It's why we are attracted to a life calling. Energy is behind everything. Like when you look at a plant, if you let your eyes kind of relax, you can literally see the aura around plants. If you've ever done Qigong where you raise your energy, and you can even just do this by dancing and shaking, you then bring your hands out in front of you and you place your two hands with your palms open, facing each other. You can feel the energy between your palms. And as you move your hands out, you can start to feel that energy pushing it out and then bringing it back in. And so everything is energy. And so when we really believe that and think about that, then we know that our thoughts matter, our feelings matter. We also know that are we in the vibration of the thing that we want to attract? So say, for example, if I want to lead a certain life, I have to actually act as if, feel as if I'm already living that life, because that's the energetic match for the life that I want. So I can't be stuck in the lower energy of, why am I not having this? Why me? Because that's not the energy that matches the thing that I want. We actually have to walk around as if we already have the thing that we want, because then we become an energetic match for the thing that we want. We're not going to miss each other on the energetic plane. Again, that could be a whole other podcast, but it's a core belief for me. Everything is energy. Number 16, if you're not happy, move. You're not a tree. So this actually came from Jim Rohn years ago. I actually saw him. Oh my goodness, it's probably 25 years ago. And it always stuck with me. I love a lot of Jim Rohn's quotes. His quote that I always use in a lot of my courses, the easiest thing to do is the easiest thing not to do. And that's why people don't do the things that we know would make all the difference. So that's another great quote. But this one, if you're not happy, move. You're not a tree. This helps us take radical responsibility for our lives. And I remember reading Cheryl, another one of my favorite authors, The Extreme Art of Self-Care, Cheryl Richardson. Love, love, love that book. One of my favorite all-time top 5 books. She talks about that no one's coming to rescue you. Like there's not this knight in shining armor that we all want as a little girl. Men, it's probably going to be a little bit different because you're the in shining armor. You love accomplishing and going to find the Holy Grail. But for women, a lot of times we think there's going to be this knight in shining armor when no, like we are responsible for our life, radical responsibility for my life. So if I am not happy with the situation, I need to either change my mindset around it or actually change the situation, and to never feel disempowered, never feel like we are not the creators of our circumstance. Because the minute that we think that we're the victim, that is so disempowering. And again, when we think that, our life takes on a completely different hue of victimhood rather than really stepping into that creator consciousness. Like, yes, I can make changes. I can change my outlook. I can make physical changes, whatever it is, but radical responsibility for our lives. Number 17, and these are the last two, and then I'm just going to end it with these. Number 17, truth telling is one of the highest forms of love. And this is something in my first marriage, which was a 13-year marriage, learned so much in that relationship, just different paths that we needed to walk on. And in that, I really realized I wasn't speaking my truth. Then for 4 years, I had a toxic relationship, which really taught me to speak my truth. And then from then on, I was speaking my truth. And I really realized that when you speak your truth with grace and love, even if it's the hardest thing to do, it's always the best thing for both people. Always. It's when we hide. It's when we people please. It's when we step over our truth. It's when we do a myriad of things that aren't authentic for us, that's when we cause pain and suffering, not for ourselves, just ourselves, but also for other people as well. And you probably know this in movies. Like in movies, I'm always like, just tell the truth. Like all these movies where like people are missing each other and it all came from somebody not telling the truth and they're still not telling the truth. Like literally, I see all these movies. I'm like, just tell the truth. It's so refreshing when we can do that. And I know in my past my relationships after that 4-year toxic one, all of my partners, whether it's been, a little bit long-term dating or, more of a serious relationship, that's something they've all said, like, I so appreciate that you tell the truth. You still say it with grace and love, but you tell the truth. And so that's something, and it is an ongoing practice because there still are times like, oh, it's going to be, how do I say this that's truthful and authentic for me, but also is going to land okay for the other person. We can't be willy-nilly and go around hurting people. So you can still say it with grace and love, but truth telling is a higher form of love. And when we tell the truth, it's always best for both people. And finally, self-care is a necessity, not a luxury. And it absolutely is so important to put the oxygen mask on first and to really take care of yourself. Going back to episode 27, where I talk about your 3 things that I really feel are the most important things to focus on: relationships, health, and your dharma/purpose. Your health is so important. If you do not have your health, you're not good for anyone. You can't be a good partner, a good mother, a good father, a good business partner showing up in the world. Your health and your self-care is so, so important. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity. I hope that this has been helpful. And again, I would love to carry on this conversation. If there's topics that you want me to go deeper into, if there's questions, and let's keep this conversation going. Have a beautiful day, evening, wherever you are in the world. Keep asking yourselves the deep, important questions. Who am I? What am I here to do? What is my purpose? Who are you authentically? Who is your most fully expressed whole version of yourself, so that you can live this life that really feels like you, full of vibrancy, energy, love, creation, and everything that you are here to do in this lifetime. All my love, and I will catch you on the next podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, I'd absolutely love if you left a review on iTunes. It really helps me to get the podcast out there to support more people just like you to create soulful lives. And as a thank you, I'd love to send you my 20 personal affirmations for manifesting an aligned, magical, and fulfilling life. To access this freebie, simply send a screenshot of your review to soulcraft@carmenmarshall.com, and I'll send you my favorite affirmations and mantras straight to your inbox. All my love, and I'll see you on the next episode.